Hello students, welcome to Smart Solution. I am Nikhil and we have started with standard 9th economics chapter number 2 people as resource. So this is the second lecture on this chapter. So in the previous, that is first lecture, we have seen various concepts. So you can find the link in the description where you can see the lecture 1. So you can see the lecture 1 and then jump to the lecture 2, right? So we'll just have a recap of what we saw in the previous class. So in lecture 1 we saw what is a resource, what is human resource, how a human can become a very useful resource with education and medicinal facilities. So after that we saw a story of two friends living in a village, how one of them got better education and then his life changed, and how he then contributed to his development as well as to the development his family. So how a virtuous and vicious cycle is actually created in the society. Then we saw example of Japan, the country with very less renewable, sorry, not renewable, very less resources, but still became a developed nation. So, what are the plans for India to become a developed nation? Then we saw the economic activities by men and women, how each of them contribute to the national economy or national income. Okay. After that, we saw the importance of women's education and women's contribution in economic development. What are the situations that needs to be improved so that women can have more participation in economic activities. After that, we saw the quality of population. How is the quality of population related to the development? Then we saw the importance of education, how education plays a key role in improving the quality of human. Then we saw how government is involved or taking participation or is actively involved in providing various schemes to people so that they can get educated, can get can get literated, and thereby improving their human capital level. We then went through a table which indicates the contribution of government, how the government has improved the educational system in the country to raise the literacy rate. So as we recall that in 1950s, the education, the literacy rate was only 18%, which in 2018 stood at 85%, a very good achievement, right? And so now today we will be starting with the next topic, health. The importance of health in human capital development. Okay, so let us start with health. So firms maximize profit. So any of the industrial firm, when any person or any owner sets up a firm, his main objective is to get profit from the firm, right? So if he want to get profit, so he will employ his capital such that he can maximize his profit. So as we have seen till now, human is also a resource which the industries or the firms require, right? So if the resource is in a good shape, he will be in demand, but if the resource is not in a good shape, he will not be in demand, right? So let us see. So do you think any firm would be induced to employ people who might not work efficiently as healthy workers because of ill health? So do you think that any person who has got some skills but his health is not good, any of the company will employ such people? Obviously no. Why? Because company want a person to be healthy so that he can use his skills properly. The health of a person helps him to realize his or her potential and the ability to fight illness. He or she will not be able to maximize his or her output to the overall growth of the organization. Indeed, health is an indispensable basis for realizing one's well being. So, if you see a person who has got skills, but because of his bad health, he cannot use those skills for the purpose for which he has been employed, right? So, the most important thing here is that apart from education, a person should have good health so that he can use his skills very effectively and efficiently with good health. So he don't have to spend much of his time worrying about his health, how do I cure, how do I become healthy. Rather, he should be happily enjoying his well-being, well-health, and using his skills for the growth of organization. So henceforth, improvement in the health status of the population has been the priority of the country. Our national policy to aims at improving the accessibility of healthcare, family welfare, and nutritious service with a special focus on the unprivileged segment of the population. So government has also taken initiatives in this scenario. Like government has set up primary hospitals and secondary hospitals into almost all villages of the country, where they provide all the health benefits required for people, for the pregnant women, for the small children, those who are lacking nutritious value. So different schemes are being run by the government for the unprivileged segments of the population. So over the last 5 decades, India has built a vast health infrastructure and also has developed manpower required at primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors in government. So government has taken very great initiatives in the last 5 decades, that is in the last 50 years, and the health infrastructure of India is developing. Also, the manpower required for these primary health centers, secondary health centers, and tertiary health centers is improving. Government is also adding new machineries or new diagnosis techniques to this sector. These measures, which have been adopted, have increased the life expectancy to over 69.4 years in 2016. So what has happened because of the role played by government, the life expectancy, that is the average number of years expected to live in Indian scenario, that has increased to 69.4 years in 2016. So infant mortality rate has come down from 147 in 1951 to 36 in 2020. So infant mortality rate. So what does it mean? It means the child which is born, and if he dies within a span of 1 year, so a newborn child who dies in the span of 1 year is known as infant mortality. So infant mortality rate is counted per thousand children. Say for example, if in 1951 1000 children would have taken birth, then of that 147 would have died within first year. This scenario has changed in 2022, in 2020 to 3 to 36. So only 36 children out of 1000 children will die or are dying within a span of 1 year. But if you see this 36 count, that is also a great count. Government should focus, or government is rather focusing to bring this count ideally to zero. The crucial birth rate has dropped to 20.08 and death rate to 6.02. So the birth rate, that is birth per 100 adults, that is dropped to 20%, and death rate has also dropped to 6.2%. So death rate is also counted based on per thousand population in a given particular period. So increase in life expectancy and improvement in childcare are useful in assessing the future progress of the country. So better life expectancy and better health care. So this will dictate the further course of country. Increase in longevity of life is an indicator of good quality of life marked by self confidence. So we must and we should aim at living a great or higher stretch of life, because if you live long life, it will be more prosperous, there would be more quality in you, right? So reduction in infant mortality involves the protection of child from infection, ensuring the nutrition of both the mother and child care. So what will happen because of this reduced infant mortality rates? The health of both child and mother would be good, so that they will have a better life ahead with a nutritious value. So we are given a health infrastructure chart. So it has a range of 2014 to 2019. So let us try to look at what it tries to explain us. So you can see here HSC, PHC and CHC. So the count in 2014 was 1,82,719, and in 2019 it has increased to 1,78,548. So what does this HSC, PHC and CHC mean? So SC means sub centers, PHC means primary health centers and CHC means community health centers, right? So this is the count. So dispensaries and hospitals, they were 29,000 or 28,000 rather, which has increased to 31 or 32,000. Beds in government hospital were 6 lakh 75,000 or 78,000 approximately in 2014, which has increased to 8 lakh 18,000. Registered doctors in medical council were only 36,000 in 2014, which has increased, sorry, which has it seems to be decreased, right? So it has decreased to 29,799 registered allopathic doctors at PHCs. Okay, so this actually count has decreased. So this should not happen rather. Why is this decreasing? So we'll have to see. And nursing professionals from different categories, they were initially like 26 lakh 21,000 or rather 22,000. So they in 2020 are approximately 12 lakh 1,393. So this also seems to be reduced. So don't know why this is happening. So there are few things to discuss, like what is the percentage increase in dispensaries from 1951-52. So I think these all these questions you can answer from this table below. So I'll leave this activity to you and just move to the next thing. There are many places in India which do not have even these basic facilities. There are only 542 medical colleges in the country and 330 dental colleges. So if you look at the Indian scenario where the population is approximately 125 to 35 crores, so in such a vast country we have only 542 medical colleges and only 313 dental colleges. So just four states like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu have the maximum number of medical colleges. uh, so this is the scenario of the medical facility in India. So there is an activity you should perform. Go to the nearby hospital, either government or private, and note down the following details. Find out how many beds are there in the hospital, how many doctors are there, how many nurses working there. Besides, try to gather the following information: how many hospitals are there in your locality and how many dispensaries are there in your locality. So this is a very simple activity and you should perform this to get understanding of the medical facilities in and around your vicinity. Also, I would like to add that you also try to find out what are the facilities that are available in case of emergencies in your locality, right? So that you will get an understanding whether you have to rush to a nearby city hospital or you can get treated for any of the disorder or any of the emergencies that can occur in your locality. Okay, right. So now let us move to the next section: unemployment. So what is unemployment? Unemployment means when an able person who has got good education, who has got skills, who has got good health, and the one who has aspirations or desires to get some job but is unable to get any job. So that situation is known as unemployment. So let us try to discuss it in detail. Sakal's mother Sheila looked after the domestic course child and helped her husband Buta in the field. Sakal's brother Jiru and sister Situ spent their time playing around, playing and roaming. Can you call Sheila or Jilu or Situ unemployed? If not, why? So see, Sakal's mother, she was busy with household activities, whereas his siblings Jiru and Situ, they were busy with their childhood games, playing and roaming. So since all these people, they did not have desire to go for a job, his mother could have skills, but we don't know whether she have or not, but they did not have desire to do job. So the primary thing is, if one don't have desire to job and if he is not working, that will not be counted as unemployment, right? So we can say that these three members of his family, they are not unemployed. Unemployment is said to exist when people who are willing to work at the going wages cannot find job. Okay, so this is the definition that we have already seen. Sheila is not interested in working outside her domestic domain. Jitu and Situ are too small to be counted in the working force population. Neither Jitu, Situ or Sheila can be counted as unemployed. So because of these reasons that his mother is not interested in taking any of the other activities rather than her household activities. Her two siblings, they are smaller than the minimum required age group for them employment, so they three cannot be counted as unemployment, right? So the workforce population includes people from 15 years to 59 years. So basically the person has to be a minimum of 15 years and maximum of 59 years, which can be counted within the group of this employment. Sakal's brother and sisters does not fall within this age group, since his brother and sister, they are less than 15 years of age, so they do not enter this bracket and hence cannot be called to be employed. Sakal's mother Sheila works for the family. She is not willing to work outside her domestic domain for payment. She too cannot be counted unemployment, since Sheila's mother uh, Sakal's mother Sheila is well within this age bracket, but she is not willing to work outside her house, so she also cannot be now counted as an unemployed. Sakal's grandparents, although not mentioned in the story, cannot be called unemployed. So if you see, if we assume that Sakal also had got some grandparents, but if you see, their age would have obviously been greater than 59. So again, though they would have desire, but since they are not falling in the said bracket of age, we can say that they are also not unemployed. Okay, so in case of India, we have unemployment in rural and urban areas. So we have basically a division like rural and urban case in Indian scenario. So there are different types of unemployments existing in both these areas. However, the nature of unemployment differs in rural and urban areas. In case of rural areas, there is seasonal and disguised unemployment. So if you consider the case of rural area, there are two type of employments or unemployments, you can say, seasonal and disguised, whereas urban areas have mostly educated unemployment, and in urban areas we find mostly educated unemployment. So let us see the seasonal employment. Seasonal unemployment happens when people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. So seasonal employment is the type of employment in which people do not find job during some months of the year, right? So there would be some months during which people will not be employed. For the rest of the period they could be employed. So such type of employment or unemployment is called as seasonal unemployment. People depending upon agricultural activities usually face such kind of problems. So this basically seasonal unemployment problem is faced by agricultural activities, because different type of activities are conducted in agriculture, like sowing, weeding, harvesting, threshing, even irrigation. So all these activities, they are not done throughout the year. So during some period there is a peak requirement of labor, whereas during the other period there is no requirement of labor in the agricultural activities. So such type of seasonal unemployment do exist in the educational field. So there are certain busy seasons when sowing, harvesting, weeding and threshing is done. So these are the busy seasons. So during this period there is a huge opportunity for employment, but there are certain months do not provide much work to the people depending upon the type of agriculture. So in case of disguised unemployment, people appear to be employed. They have agricultural plots where they find work. This usually happens among family members engaged in agricultural activities. The work requires the service of 5 people but engage 8 people. 3 people are extra. These 3 people also work in the same plot as the others. The contribution made by the 3 extra people does not add to the contribution made by the 5 people. If 3 people are removed, the productivity of the field will not decline. The field requires the service of 5 people and the extra 3 people are disguised unemployed. So in disguised employment, what happens? More than required people are employed for the specific task. Say for example, if there is a farmer who has got some farm and 5 number of laborers are sufficient for all the activities for the farm. But what happens, since there are 8 people in his family, instead of 5 people, now he will employ all 8 people in the farming activity. So what happens is, because of all these 8 people working in the same field, the 3 people, they actually are not required but still working. So what will happen, work of the 5 people will now be distributed among these 8 people. So all these 8 people, they will be doing the work of only 5 people. So these 3 people, those are engaged extra in this activity which actually are not required. These 3 people are said to be disguised unemployed, because even if you remove these 3 people from their work, still the same work or the required work will be carried out without any hampering the activities. Okay, so this extra number of people that are employed for a particular activity, that is known as disguised unemployment. So this basically happens in rural and educational system. In case of urban areas, educated unemployment has become a common phenomenon. Many young with matriculation, graduation, and post-graduation degrees are not able to find jobs. So, in urban areas, you may have seen the situation that many educated graduates, postgraduates, and even matriculation degree holders, they are not able to find suitable job as per their requirement. The study shows that unemployment of graduate and postgraduate has increased faster than among the matriculation. And the study was done which indicates that the number of graduates and postgraduates are mostly unemployed, most unemployed among the different categories of the people or the education. So paradoxical manpower situation is witnessed as surplus of manpower in certain categories coexist with shortage of manpower in other. So what actually happens is there are certain market forces. Say for example, if there is a boom in the IT field, there is down economy in mechanical field. So what will happen? People will start moving from down economy to higher economy. Will start jumping from mechanical field to IT field. A lot of people will end up with getting jobs, but again a lot of people will be left over without any jobs, because by the time when people has started moving, the market of IT industry would have been saturated and there would have been no further vacancies for taking up these new upcoming peoples. So what will happen? The people who has earlier rushed to this IT field would get jobs, but the people those who had delayed in rushing will now no get no jobs. What will happen further is the mechanical field, which now is will go under a stress in terms of manpower. So there will be dearth of mechanical engineers. So what again will happen? Some people from other fields will start rushing towards mechanical field. Again the mechanical field will absorb the number required and the extra number will again be unemployed. So this is the paradoxical situation which exists in the market always, right? So there is an unemployment among technically qualified people on one hand, while there is a dearth of technically skilled requirement for economic growth. So both situations can also happen, like there could be people who has got technical education but has got no jobs, and there could be jobs for which there are no technical peoples. So both these scenarios they create unemployment. Unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resources. So because of unemployment, there is wastage in the human power or human resource. People who are an asset for the economy turns into liability. The people those who were initially resources will now turn into liability because they don't have job. There is a feeling of hopelessness and despair among the youth. People do not have enough money to support their family. Inability to educated people who are willing to work to find gainful employment implies a great social waste. And if there is a family or a person who has got well education and he is desired to have a job but he is not getting job, so in that case he will become frustrated, because he cannot support his family, and so his basically family can go into a very bad situation. So unemployment tends to increase economic overload. The dependency of the unemployment on the working population increases. The quality of life of an individual as well as society is adversely affected because of unemployment. When a family has to live on a base subsistence level, there is a great decline in the health status and rising withdrawal from the schooling system. So what happens as the unemployment in the society increase? People try to avoid spending money. Because of less spending, firstly they will cut off their expenses. They will move from highly qualified or highly ranked schools to lower ranked schools to save their money. Secondly, they will not spend much on the medicinal facilities. Thirdly, they will start starving on the nutritious side also to save some money. So these are all the side effects of unemployments, right? And this will in future create bad education, not good education, bad health, and even bad uh, health, you can say. Yeah, so these are the two major reason things that will happen. Hence, unemployment has determinantal effect on the overall growth of an economy. Increase in unemployment is an indicator of depressed economy. It is also wasting the resources which could have been gainfully employed. So unemployment means that economy is in the downturn, there are no more jobs, we are wasting the human resource. If people cannot be used as a resource, they naturally appear to be a liability on the economy. In case of India, statistically, the unemployment rate is low. A large number of people representing with low income and productivity are counted as employed. They appear to work throughout the year, but in terms of their potential and income, it is not adequate for them. The work that they are pursuing seems forced upon them. They may therefore want to work other work of their choice. Poor people cannot afford to sit idle. They tend to engage in an activity irrespective of its earning potential. So sometime it may happen that a particular person would like to have a particular type of job, but since the job is not available, he may take up some other job which will pay him less than his desire. But sometimes people have to do that because instead of sitting ideal, they feel that I can at least earn some money. So their earning keeps them on a bare substance level. Because of these low earnings, they are unable to break the rat race. That is, they are unable to move from a bad cycle to a good positive cycle, which we initially discussed. Um, so what will happen is, moreover, the employment structure is characterized by self-employment in the primary sector. So in primary sector, if you see, which is related to the extraction of natural resources from environment, so over there, self-employment is primary done, or people are basically self-employed. The whole family contributes in the field, even though not everyone is really needed. So we have already seen that because of this, disguised unemployment is prevailing in agricultural field. So there is a disguised unemployment in the agricultural sector, but the entire family shares what has been produced. This concept of sharing of work in the field and the produce raised reduces the hardship of unemployment in the rural sector, but this does not reduce the poverty of the family. Gradually, surplus labor from every household tends to migrate from the village in search of job. And what happens because of this unemployment or disguised unemployment? People from the villages, they will start moving towards the cities in search of job. So let us discuss about the employment scenario in the three sectors mentioned earlier. So agriculture is the most labor absorbing sector of the economy. In recent years, there has been a decline in the dependence of population on agriculture, partly because of disguised unemployment discussed earlier. So if you see the Indian scenario, India is known as the land of farmers, where most of the people are engaged in agricultural activities. But if you see the current trend, a lot of people are moving away from agriculture. Why? Because there is a disguised unemployment and there are no much returns in the agricultural occupation. So people, they are now trying to get some skills and get a better job, which will give them more earnings than agricultural field. So they are upgrading their skills and moving to urban areas in search of job. Some of the surplus labor in agriculture has moved to either the secondary or tertiary activities. So the people that were initially engaged in agricultural activities now are gaining skills and moving into secondary or tertiary sector. So secondary sector is manufacturing, so they get some skills. If they have required skills for the manufacturing industry, they will go into the manufacturing industry. If they further increase their skill and get skills required for the tertiary activities, that is the service sector, like IT, transport, medicine, education, and so on, so they can land up with the job in tertiary sector. So in the secondary sector, small scale manufacturing is the most labor absorbing. In case of tertiary sector, various new services are now appearing, like biotechnology, information technology, and so on. And so these are the newly appearing domains in which tertiary sector is growing. So let us read a story to know how people could become an asset for the economy of a village. So again, there is a story. So let us try to understand what this story presents to us. So there was a village inhabited by several families. Each family produced enough to feed its members. Each family made its need by the members, making their own clothes and teaching their own children. One of the families decided to send one of their son on agricultural college. So there was a village in which each family was busy with their activities. Each family earned enough to meet their requirements. They made their own clothes and also taught their children at their home. So this was a good village, we can say. But of all the families, one family decided that they will send their son for education in agricultural college out of their village. So the boy got his admission in the nearby college of agriculture. After some time, he became qualified in agro engineering and came back to the village. So he got a degree in agricultural engineering and got a good knowledge, and he again came back to his village. He proved to be so creative that he could design an improved type of plug which increased the yield of wheat. So this child, after getting education, he was so intelligent and he was so creative that he created a new type of plug which increased the yield of wheat. So what happened, thus a new job of agro engineer was created and filled in the village. So there was a requirement of some agro engineer in the village because of his innovation. so which was created and someone was employed for that job. The family in the village sold the surplus in the nearby neighboring village. So whatever the extra production now they used to get, they used to sell it in the nearby village. They earned good profit which they shared among themselves. Inspired by this success, all the members after some time held a meeting in the village. So looking at this boy's success, all the families in the village, they had a meeting. They all wanted to have a better future for their children too. They requested the panchayat to open a school in the village. So what happened? Looking at the future and looking at the prosperity of this child who got an education in the agricultural field and made some contribution to the economic development of his family, rest of the villagers thought that their children should have the same better future. So they went to the panchayat collectively and asked the panchayat to open a school for them, right? So they assured the panchayat that they would all send their children to school. The panchayat, with the help of government, opened a school. A teacher was recruited from a nearby town. All the children of this village started going to school. So what happened? Later panchayat agreed to their requirement. Panchayat, with the help of government, opened a school. The teacher was appointed, and all these students, those who were initially learning at their houses itself, now started going to school. So after some time, one of the families gave training to his daughter in tailoring. She started stitching clothes. So one of the family sent their daughter for higher education in tailoring. So she became a tailor. She started stitching clothes for all the other families in the village. um, for everyone now want to buy, so everyone in the village now they wanted to buy the clothes from her. So one more job was created, was of tailor, right? Because of the requirements, this had another positive effect. The time of the farmers in going far for buying clothes was saved. So what happened? Because she started tailoring work in the same village, initially people used to go to other villages for getting their clothes stitched, but because of the facility that was created in their village, now farmers used to save their time to go to other village and get their clothes stitched. Instead they now used to stitch their clothes in the same village. So this was the beginning of prosperity. The farmers had more than what they could consume. So with this also their production increased. All the farmers, they started producing more than whatever was required for their families. So now they could sell what they produced to other who came to their village markets. So now whatever was the surplus produce that they produced from their farms, they used to sell them in the village market. Over time, this village, which formerly had no job opportunities in the beginning, had many like teacher, tailor, agro engineer, and many more. So this basically, if you see the village which initially had no jobs, because of the change in the people's thinking, the education pattern, there were new jobs that were coming up like teacher, tailor, agro engineer, and many more, right? So this was the story of a simple village where the rising level of human capital enabled it to evolve into a place rich with complex and modern economic activities. So why this all the changes happened in a small village? This happened because of the education. The boys or the girls or the students in the village, they took good education, they brought down some reforms, they changed their day to day activities, and because of that the village prospered, right? So this is how a human capital plays a major role in development of an individual and also in the development of society and nation, right? So hopefully we have completed this chapter, and I think you should have understood concepts. If there are any concepts that you think are not clear to you, you can always write down in the comment section, and we would be happy to write to you, right? So if you have any doubts, feel free to always comment. If you have not yet subscribed our channel, kindly subscribe and always keep visiting our channel so that you can get updates on the latest videos. So let us meet again with the chapter 3. So till then, have a good day and thank you.